You are listening to Comedy Club for Kids presents Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense. Hello and welcome to Radio Nonsense, the official Comedy Club for Kids podcast for all ages from... to... and everything in between. I'm Tiernan, and now it's time to say goodbye, and I cry. It's not really. It's just going to be the last episode of this podcast for a few weeks because, well, let me be frank with you. Hang on. Okay, I'm Frank now, and I have this silly voice, because that's Frank's voice. No, actually, it's just too silly, isn't it? Go away, Frank. Okay, bye! Sorry, what I meant is that I will be honest with you and say that it has been so brilliant receiving all of your many questions for this past 21 episodes. But I have run out of comedians to answer them all for the time being. So I need to spend a few weeks luring out comedians with little biscuit crumbs or joke setups that they can't resist giving a punchline to. And then once I've sort of lured them out from the backstage little cupboards that they live in, I can ensnare them with this podcast. And I can get them to answer more of your questions because I've still got quite a lot that haven't been answered yet. They're a very difficult species to find, you understand, comedians, as they often only come out at night, and as I said, they sort of hide in little backstage cupboards that the public don't have access to. So you really have to research just how to find one and get it to work with you rather than, run away or climb a tree or bite you. Oh no, sorry, hang on, that's squirrels, but they're very similar in a lot of ways. So, this show is just going to be on a very short break. Not for very long. It'll be back before you know it. Except it won't be because you'll know about it because I'll probably let you know. So if you didn't know about it, you probably wouldn't know it was back. Anyway, it'll be back soon, and I'm going to be gathering up funny people, but also clear away all the latest stinky hippos that you've sent in that I haven't had a chance to remove, as they've started to pile up again. And yesterday, I heard the postman be sick as he caught a whiff of some of them in the envelopes that you put them in as he pushed them through the letterbox, and he sort of coughed a lot, and he shouted, "It smells like if a baboon burped into a bucket of old sandwiches and then left it in a shed for 12 years. And yes, it did, and in fact, it still does. But that is the stinky hippos, as there haven't been any burping baboons in here since, I think, last year. I think that was the last time. So, look, while it is lovely that you keep sending them in, as well as your questions, I did ask that you stop because, as you know, they stink. And there's really just not much I could do with them. I've realised, over the past 21 episodes, I keep getting sent in these stinky hippos. Don't really know what I'm meant to do with them. I can't sort of just stack them up like stinky hippo Lego. I mean, I can. It's just... but it stinks. I've used 4 as a doorstop, a couple as sort of paperweights. I've flung a few out of the window at passers-by, which is just it's not very nice of me to do that. And also then the people not only have a stinky hippo flung at them, but then they smell of stinky hippo for the rest of the day and they can't stop being sick. So it's just disgusting, really. And there's not really any other uses for them. You can't make them into a smoothie or anything, as that's just cruel and disgusting. So please stop sending these stinky hippos. But, and I repeat, but, because it's always funny to say but a lot, isn't it? But do keep sending in questions. Even though I've currently run out of comedians for them. I will find more. I promise I will. The show will be back soon. Your questions will get answered. So if you've already sent one in and it hasn't been answered yet, it's on the list for as soon as this show returns. And if you haven't sent in a question and you want to, you've got stuff you need to ask, then get your irked mashed potato towers, grown-ups, to help you email us at podcast@comedyclubforkids.co.uk with anything you want to ask, really, or any jokes or anything at all that you'd like to say. Another reason for the break, the podcast break, is that I have to remember all my jokes to shout in your faces in real life from a stage, as we're doing loads of Comedy Club for Kids shows all over the place, starting this coming Saturday, it's this coming Saturday when I record this, but it'll be last going Saturday, I don't know where it's gone. But anyway, starting then, at the end of May and beginning of June, we're going to be at theatres, festivals, possibly even in your front garden near the bins on a Wednesday. No, okay, we won't be there. But wouldn't it be amazing if we did? If you looked out your window and there we were by the bins going, "Oi, but..." Unless, of course, it was bin collection day and then we get taken away and put in a smelly truck. Though that might be a good way to get rid of the hippos. Anyway, do come and see us and find out where we're going to be by checking comedyclub4kids.co.uk. And now, for the importantest bit of the show that includes a comedian I prepared earlier.
There are many stops and starts, many peaks and weeks.
On today's podcast, I am joined by Sukh, aka Sukh Pioneering Space Cook. Sukh, who is known for award-winning raspberry blowing, and of course, as all listeners will know of her, she has written many books and hosted many shows on the art form. Sukh, the professional cow interrupter. Hello, Sukh. How are you doing?
Oh, hi. Oh, thank you so much. Nobody ever talks about my long and distinguished CV, Tiernan. So I'm really glad. Everybody's just so like, "Oh, you're a comedian. Oh, you're writing a book." I'm like, guys, that is not important. What's really important is my work with our bovine friends. So thank you.
Well, exactly. I mean, I can't believe that people don't mention that. As far as, you know, as I said, I think that's what most of our listeners will know you for. I've never seen anyone interrupt a cow quite like you before. And I think it's magical. It's one of those things that you never forget.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. I mean, and I've lived many lives, as you can tell. Obviously, I've been in space. Which was great because you weigh nothing in space, and my mother was very happy.
But you were as a space cook, that's even better because you can just cook like the biggest meals and then eat them and go, "It's done nothing," and that's really exciting.
But also in space, I was literally just adding water to rehydrated sachets of food, so I wasn't, sorry to burst your bubble, Tiernan, I wasn't actually cooking with fresh ingredients because you can't do that in space.
No, sure, but I guess you found your own ways around it, didn't you?
Oh,
You
yeah.
added different amounts of water to different things, and then you mixed different powdered things with different other powdered things to make brand new powdered things. And I think that's innovative. Before, astronauts were just like, "Oh, I'll just eat this space ice cream that tasted dust, or this space pie that tasted dust."
Yeah.
And now you're like, "Have ice cream pie."
Yeah. Have ice cream dust.
Ice cream pie dust, yeah, that's innovative, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it is, and I'm really well known in the space world.
Yes,
That's what they call it.
I was going to say. That's what I've heard, but you can't hear anything in space. I haven't heard it, but they sent a message from the space station, so that's how I know about it.
Great.
So yeah, I'm very pleased you're here. I'm very pleased you're back on Earth and able to do this show with us. And how are things, apart from all your busy cow interruptions, raspberry blowing, space cooking? How are you getting on?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay. Yeah, I'm all right. I've moved to the seaside, which is lovely. So lots of lovely sounds I can talk about later. It's nice. I've spent most of the last 6 months walking up and down a beach in a fringed shawl, pretending that I've lost my husband at sea in a horrible fishing accident. But the twist is I'm a ghost.
Whoa, that's really exciting.
Thank you.
That's really exciting. Can we talk about obviously you've gone fishing accident? Is it like, I don't want to ruin your story, but is it more exciting if it was like a pirate based?
Yeah,
because
I think what's more interesting is if he just never came. If maybe he sailed into a kind of a scary mist and was never seen again.
That's really exciting.
Yeah.
A sort of terrifying fog.
Yeah.
They never returned.
Yeah.
Potential sea monster, potentially just sort of
Who
fell in the sea a bit
knows?
rubbish, but nobody knows. Oh, that's really exciting. I like that. That's a really good. I think there's people don't do that often enough when they live in certain locations. They don't sort of pretend to be a ghost in those locations.
Why not?
Enough, you know?
Why not?
Yeah.
They're missing a trick. Now's the perfect time to do that.
It is absolutely brilliant. Do you ever are your plans, like being a ghost, ever thwarted by sort of seagulls just sort of flying at you when you're trying to be all solemn, like, "Oh, my husband died in an accident," or "My husband disappeared," and then rah! And then they sort of, because I've been to Margate and the seagulls there are quite big, very good, especially at stealing chips.
Yes.
And they can really fly at you.
Yeah, they're very bold. They're really bold. I learned something recently about the way that seagull behavior has evolved. And apparently,
Really?
yeah, apparently they were. I've been alone for a very long time. Apparently, they weren't
Well, your
always.
husband disappeared in the mist, so
Well,
yeah,
exactly.
it's
Yeah,
very
I don't know if
difficult.
he's
Yeah.
coming back. All the space dust is ready for him for when he chooses to appear from the terrifying, mysterious mist. Apparently, they weren't always scavengers. It's because humans left their waste lying around, like bins, like overflowing bins and things like that, that they became scavengers in order to survive.
Wow. So it's our fault that seagulls eat from bins. And before that, they had three-course dinners with sort of silver cutlery.
They
They
had
were really fancy
homes, they
birds.
were like really upstanding members of society, and we've reduced them to, flying nuisances. So
Wow. But well, okay, let me ask you this because I would, if I love a nice dinner at home,
mm.
but if I knew outside there was some McDonald's chips in a bin, it would be hard not to think, oh, I might have a few.
Well, yeah, I mean that is the eternal dilemma.
I should just say to listeners listening to the show, please don't eat chips from a bin unless your grown-ups say that that's okay.
But even then,
Should just
possibly
check.
question your
Even then,
grown-ups.
Yeah, do question your grown-ups. It's I once when I was at university, my flatmate ate pizza from a bin, but he insisted it was in a box. Insisted it was still in the box. We put the box in the bin too early. But I don't believe him. To this day, I don't believe him. I think he'd just ate pizza from a bin.
Yeah, I once went to the theatre with a friend in possibly somewhere in Sussex years ago. Our friend was in a show there, and we were rushing, and she was like, "We're by the sea, and I want to have some chips." Because obviously that's the rule. If you're by the sea, you have to eat some chips. And but we were in a rush and we didn't want to miss the show. Obviously, we didn't want to miss the beginning of the play. And so she left her half-eaten chips on top of a bin and then came out at the interval and finished them off.
Wow. I mean, wow, that's impressive because A, potentially disgusting, but B, that a seagull didn't get them in like that, or anything didn't, a bear, I don't know what would have been around.
Not a fan of theatre,
but
apparently, seagulls. So
is that maybe how you keep them away from your if they were to fly at you while you're doing your ghostly walks, all you need to is perform like a beautiful monologue
yeah,
and they'd be off.
they'd be off. Just give them my best Lady M, and they'd be.
That's amazing. Wow. Well, they don't like the drama. I'm really impressed. These are all the tips that you can give us, but being near the seaside,
Yeah,
that's some amazing tips. Is there anything? Is it Margate's? I'm trying to remember. Margate's a bit of a. Is it a stony beach or is it a sandy beach?
all sandy. We've got miles and miles of
Is
sandy beach, which is why I love it so much. I don't count stony beaches as beaches. I'm really sorry, Brighton and other places. I'm really sorry. I don't see the point. I don't. Why am I walking on gravel? It's just really,
Okay,
I feel it's really ungainly, bordering on uncivilized. And I'm sure it's terrible for your posture.
I don't disagree, but let me play devil's advocate here and just say, okay, with sandy beaches you can build sandcastles, but stony beaches you can build real castles with stone.
Yeah, but it's a lot more labor intensive.
It does take a long time.
Oh, you're essentially drywalling then using them. You're not going to like take cement or mortar, are you? Essentially drywalling with pebbles is what you're doing.
Yes, and also you get told off by the council because they're like, you can't build that here. This is a public beach.
Yeah,
and you've just
you
built a
planning
castle and put
permission
soldiers
to
in it
erect a structure
yeah.
there. Tiernan, yes.
Yeah. It's true. I mean, I was playing devil. As I said, it wasn't that I disagreed with you, but it is, I think, one of the few plus points of a stony beach. Were you allowed to do that?
Yeah, but I always find that there's too many stones. That you find there's too many. There's just like if there's stone, I just feel like there's an excess of stones. Because if I have to go on a stony beach and I'm trying to sit down, I like to kind of scoop out some of the stones to put my bum in there. And I find that it's quite difficult to do that just because there's far too many.
There are really far too many stones. That is very
just
true.
like a really uncomfortable ball pit. Like it's really hard.
That's like a ball pit for people that are super tough. Yeah, let's just dive into all these stones. That would be horrible. I always think that's the worst thing of like, because I like walking barefoot on a beach, but if you walk barefoot on a stony beach, it's the most painful, horrible.
Exactly.
It's not calming at all. It's really painful.
And then what are you supposed to
Yeah.
do? Wear boots in summer, like when you're trying to walk along a pebbly beach? Like that's just, it's not the one. I mean, also, you know, my flat is now 34% sand because I do like to go for a beachy walk. But I do feel like that's a small price to pay. Plus, I do feel like when I walk barefoot on the sand, which hasn't happened yet this year, I like to feel there's a bit of an exfoliating effect. So in the long run, I am actually saving money.
Yes, that's very fair. I should say for listeners, if you don't know what exfoliate means, it basically makes your feet all nice and smooth and soft like a baby's feet. Whereas if you walk on a stony beach, it makes your feet all cut up and your toes fall off, and and then you have to crawl, and then it cuts up your hands and your hands fall off. Basically, it's terrible. It's a terrible idea.
Yeah. Anyway,
But
I've got that
good.
sorted.
Yeah. And also now you've got a sandpit at home, so that's also very exciting. I mean, You've done very well here. I think a lot of listeners will be very jealous of your situation, unless they also live by the coast, in which case they fully understand. Well, you know, obviously you, like all the rest of us, have been at home for a while, apart from your beach walks. And while everyone can now go out and about and listeners are at school and stuff,
Yeah.
I just wondered if you had a tip for fun things to do if you are bored at home, or just bored in general. Any tips for fun things to do?
I think the best thing to do if you're bored is just have a sleep. Then you close your eyes, lie down, close your eyes, pretend to sleep. Chances are 9 times out of 10 you will fall asleep. And I think we could all sleep more. I really do think. I do think that we don't sleep enough. So I think have a sleep. Also, there is a Netflix. So try and get to the end of that. If you can't sleep, try and finish Netflix if you can.
Oh,
Stop going on silly little walks, because they are silly. And I know that some families are like, oh, we love going for it. That's fine. You can be silly, have a little walk. But, you know, not for like the 17th day in a row. You don't want to go for a walk when it's a horizontal rain. You've got ghostly women walking up and down the beach. You know, that's not what you want. Stop it. Stop it. I think we should stay indoors more, even after this year.
And also, I like that we've now got to the real reason of why you pretend to be a ghostly woman walking down the beach. It's to stop children having to walk, and they should all salute your efforts. You are stopping their daily walks because their grown-ups are going, we can't go there, there's a ghostly woman, and now they get to stay indoors and watch Netflix.
Exactly.
Ideally, how many hours a day would you like to sleep if you could?
At night, I would like a 10-hour sleep. And then during the day, because naps, you can't, I mean, when I say lie down and sleep, I feel like I should be a bit more clearer about what I mean. You've got to figure out the best time for you to nap and the best length of a nap as well. So for me, it's between 20 and 45 minutes. Oh. If you go any longer than that, then you will wake up like a grouchy toddler. Like it's something to do with sleep cycles. But anyway, I've spent the last year figuring out the best nap time for me and the best nap. So I like to nap between 3 and 5. Any later than 5, then that is quite risky because you might not get
professional at this.
I believe in the power of naps. That's going to be my next book. The power of naps.
That's amazing. See, I gained the ability the second I became a dad. I couldn't really nap before, but the second I became a dad, I've now gained the super dad power where I will just suddenly fall asleep on the sofa with my head in my hand and wake up and my eye will be covered in drool and I'll have been making snoring noises that have terrified the neighbourhood and I won't have realised. And I couldn't do that before, but now I've gained this, like, it's like my dad's superpower.
Yeah.
That was given to me. I don't know if it's of use to anyone. I don't think it is. I think I wake up and often my daughter's pointing and laughing at me, but I don't know if that. I think it helps her. I don't think it saves anyone else. Yeah.
I think we're also human beings. I believe we are supposed to nap. I don't think. Yeah, because I don't think you're supposed to sleep at night the whole time. Because if we think about ye olde times when we lived in caves and whatnot, chances are
Mm.
it probably wasn't very safe to nap at night because we're in a cave, there's seagulls outside, you know,
Of course.
they might be going for the remnants of the wild boar that we've had for dinner or whatever. So I think we should, yeah. But yeah, I think everybody should nap. And in a lot of countries people do,
Yeah,
you
that is
know.
true. Siestas. We don't have
We
siestas
don't have it, yeah.
in the UK.
And also like
That's a real shame.
in India as well, when it's really hot, when I've visited family in India, they wake up quite early, so they'll wake up around 5ish, do everything that they need to do, and then round about 12, which is a time where I really get going, they were like, well,
Hmm.
it's 45 degrees outside, so you're an idiot for going outside, have a lie down.
Wow.
But I'm like, but I only woke up 15 minutes ago. They're like, lie down. So yeah, so it makes
Now,
sense.
I don't want to again I don't want to assume that they were being rude, but is there a little bit of you? It's like every time you wake up, they go to bed. Did you take it a bit personally? Because I'd be a bit like, what again? I thought I was coming to see you, and you're going to bed again
Oh.
just as I get up. Like that feels a bit. It feels a bit rude to me that they almost waited
I never
for
thought
you to
about it
wake
like
up.
that, but now you say it, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, my family do own a lot of cows, so maybe they were just jealous of
Mm.
my cow interrupting abilities. I don't know. Maybe that's what was going on there. But yeah, I've got to have some conversations when we get off this call. I would need to speak to
Sure,
a lot of
yeah, but
people.
if they say they can't talk because they're asleep, then you'll know
It's not the time
that
difference. No,
that's it. That's it. I'm just saying.
avoiding
Again, I'm
me.
hoping not, but I just thought I should highlight
Mm,
it. Now, listen, Sukh,
sorry.
it's so wonderful to have you on the show,
Yes.
and thank you again for doing it. But I've got to ask
Oh
you some
yeah.
questions before we get to our important question.
Hmm.
This is an audio show, as I mentioned every episode. We hope listeners hear it with their ears. They might listen to it with their knees, their bums. We don't discriminate how they want to
Mm.
listen to it. But I just wondered, because it's audio, if you have a favourite noise that you could either make or at least tell us about.
I mean, I guess I should say something like waves crashing on a beach because I spend so much time on the beach. But it's actually the sound of a champagne cork. Sorry.
Wow, what do you like about it? Because it properly fires, doesn't it? When
Yeah.
as all the listeners will know from their regular champagne drinking that they do at
Well,
school and nursery.
I also
Yeah.
I also have something called ASMR, which is
Oh yeah.
where certain sounds, very specific sounds, just make me feel very happy in a tingly way.
Well, do you have any? Is there a particular sound that you could share with us that's good?
So typing. If I listen to somebody typing quite loudly on a typewriter, either an old-fashioned typewriter or a keyboard, if it's sort of clickety clackety keyboard, I really like the sound of that. Um, Heavy rain and thunder, I really like a tropical storm, but only when I'm inside for obvious reasons. Um, what else? What else are the sounds? Oh, somebody cutting cabbage on a wooden chopping board.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's
Those
really
are good
specific.
sounds. They're really good, and I definitely, I mean, I think they're all brilliant, but the rain one is definitely something like we're both me and my wife, when it rains lots outside, we're like, oh, it's so nice being inside and
Mm,
hearing that, and it helps me sleep. It's a
yeah,
much better noise. It's why I never understand people when they go, I don't like it when it rains. It's like I do, but as long as I am indoors and just listening to it,
yeah.
then the rain is brilliant.
And sometimes when it's raining, I go onto YouTube and I put on videos of thunderstorms so I can get like lots of rain sounds multiplied.
Wow, I like that. It's a bit unfair to the rain outside, though, that it's not doing a good enough job, that you have to watch like Hollywood rain.
I know.
Like I feel like this rain's trying really hard. Like, come on, Sukh, I'm doing my best for you, and you're like, this isn't good enough for me. I've got to watch Thunder on YouTube because
Yeah,
you're not trying hard
I like
enough.
to feel like I'm supporting it, and also double glazing, guys. Come on, I can't hear it that well.
Sure,
Um,
very fair.
so yeah, so those are my sounds. I don't. A lot of people who have ASMR like sounds like whispering and things like that. I really don't like whispering or, yeah, people put on weird voices to do it. That doesn't really do it for me. But yeah, but those are specific ones. Also on TikTok, you have videos of people cooking. and it's the sound of them chopping and putting things into a pan, and the sizzle, and the sizzle of onions when you add onions to a pan. And
I was
going to
say, sizzle of onions is like, that is such a pleasing noise.
It's so lovely. But
yeah, that is really good. Oh, that's really exciting. Well, hopefully, what I like about all the sounds you've done today, they're quite soothing. They're quite they're quite nice. It's a shame there aren't as many typewriters around now. and for listeners, it's really hard to explain to you what a typewriter is, but it's like a computer that was broken. If you tore the monitor off a laptop, then you'd have a typewriter that's not as good. I don't tear the monitors off your laptop. I feel like I'm giving a lot of bad advice on today's show, but typewriters made of particularly, especially I like the ding at the end. Ding. Like, you don't get that on a computer when you hit return. It doesn't go ding unless you've got really annoying settings and then everyone in the cafe hates you. But yeah, it's not as good. Wow, well, that was brilliant. What a brilliant list. Thank you for that. And of course, the other thing that I have to ask, this is a family-friendly show. It is for people of all possible ages that you can ever imagine, from minus sort of 40,000 to 3,000 years old. But just to make sure that it's family-friendly, I just want to check if there are any rude words you won't be saying on this show.
I won't be saying occasional table.
Oh.
I know that's a bit close to the edge, isn't it?
I mean, thank you for not saying occasional table. That is, I think, one of the worst rude words you've ever had on this show.
I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. You're not going to say it.
I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say milk thistle.
Oh, thank goodness for that. Thank goodness for that. I think had you said milk thistle on this show, I'd have had to delete the whole show, every show previous, and then probably the minds of all our listeners. I'd have had to wipe them clean, because it is just too. Milk thistle is too much. So thank you. Wow. I thought occasional table was bad. I didn't expect you to come through with. So
I was easing you into it gently. I was easing you into it. But sorry. I feel terrible for even saying those words out loud.
Well, no, but thank you for not saying them out loud on this show, and thank you for never saying either of those words. So, I won't say occasional table or milk thistle either. So, thank you very much for that. Right, well, so now the important question. The reason I've got you here, I thought these questions are right for you, and I thought if anyone could give us a brilliant answer to these questions, it would be you with your expertise. And so we've had this sent in from Alice, who says she is age 0.11. Sorry, age 11. It's an easy mistake to make. You could be just a few minutes old or 11 years old. Sometimes it's hard to know, especially when you've just woken up. So that's fair, Alice. I understand. And Alice has two questions.
Okay.
And I'm going to hit you with both, but then we'll take them one at a time. So the first question is, what if food came burnt and ovens uncooked it? And the second question is, what if animals could talk? So big questions, big subjects. Let's start with that first one. What if food came burnt and ovens uncooked it?
Big question for an 11-minute-year-old, Alice.
Yes.
What if food came burnt? I was thinking about this because I was like, then if it was a burnt chicken that we bought in a supermarket and then we had to put it in an oven and uncook it, we'd end up with raw chicken. So we'd have to cook it again. Like when we're saying we're uncooking when we're saying we're uncooking things, does that just mean that things are burnt and then we're going to just cook them until they're just right to eat? Or are they going to just be raw again and then we can sell them on for a higher price, therefore creating a black market for chickens? Probably not.
Well, I mean, because there was part of me that wondered if you could just put it in an oven, because it takes quite a while. So I'm a vegetarian, so I don't really know. So correct me if I'm wrong on this, but to cook a whole chicken takes quite a while. But if it was already burnt, to uncook it a bit might not take as long. Yeah. So you'd probably have it quicker that way round.
Well, maybe. I think maybe it's more of a case of, when you burn some toast, pops up the toaster and you're like, oh, damn it. And then you've got to get your knife and you've got to scrape off the burnt bits. I would quite like a contraption where I could just go, oh, okay, let's put that toast in the oven and just get it to the right crispiness, right doneness. I'd be quite happy if we could have an oven that would do that, because I think in that way we then don't waste as much food. either. It's very
True.
important for the environment. And also, yeah. But then maybe what if you go the other way? You could just be in an endless time loop then of just cooking things. And then
I've overcooked it again. Oh, I've undercooked it again. Oh, I've overcooked it again. I've undercooked it. It'd be so annoying.
I'm a very
Yeah.
distracted. I get distracted very easily, so I feel like that could be most of my day, either sleeping for 10 hours or cooking and burning food and uncooking.
Sleep for 10 hours, you wake up, spend an hour cooking and uncooking toast forever, and then go back to bed. That's a really
have
upsetting
a ghosty
day, yeah.
walk, be ignored by my family. It's quite a good life, really. But yeah,
How would you feel about, because if all food came burnt, right? So like one of the things I like about like having a plate of food, I like all the different colours of food.
yeah, of course.
Whereas if all food came burnt, it would all be just charcoal. Like when you're looking at it in packets, or when you're looking at it in supermarket, like the fruit and veg aisle, for example, would be just all like lumps of coal.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't be very. How would you tell that like
If something was ripe?
Or...
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And then like, don't even get me started on avocados. Like who knows what's inside that little green parcel. I guess we'd still have a memory though of what food used to look like, so we can still imagine that banana or that peach or whatever, like imagine what it would look like. But then maybe this is very scientific, Alice, because you'd have to cook it to a certain state, because if you cooked it too much, what if you just ended up with a banana seed? What if we're going like right back to the beginning of like the banana's life? I don't know if bananas go from a seed.
Do you know what? I've no idea. I've seen pictures of bananas growing on trees, but I don't know how they begin.
Sorry,
I don't know how they get there.
This is why you should stay in school, kids.
Yeah, because they teach you exactly how where bananas' lives begin. It's very important. Well, I was I think one plus point of, but like if food was already burnt, like I've definitely been to a rubbish barbecue where all the food got burnt anyway,
Yes.
and people spent ages getting it there. So if food was already burnt, you could just instantly have a rubbish barbecue without any effort.
Yeah, that's great. And then you could have an argument, and then it'll probably rain. Which you could add to, obviously, with your YouTube videos of tropical thunderstorms, and that, to me, just sounds like a really lovely day.
It's a beautiful day.
It's a lovely day. But I like that, because then there's no hanging around making boring chit chat with people that you don't really like, and you can just go, oh well, it's bad, so we could just go home then.
Well, and also you don't get the people who are really like, because I'm not very confident with the barbecue, but so you get certain people, particularly dads, who like to go, yeah, I'll be in charge of the barbecue, I know what to do, and then they burn it, and then it all goes really wrong. Whereas they could just now immediately go, I'm rubbish, it's already burnt, and then you've got rid of all that.
But then we'd probably have to give them something else to do, wouldn't we? Like, I don't know, make a sandcastle out of pebbles or something, in order to kind of give them something to do, because I feel like that a lot of that is about making fire and putting a sausage on the fire. I grew up a vegetarian, and so I didn't grow up having barbecues, and my parents are vegetarian as well. So what do you, this is a side quest, like what do you have at a barbecue that is like that is really satisfying?
Well, you see, I do a lot of the veggie sausages and the veggie burgers, but also I love a barbecued sweet corn on the cob.
Nice.
Right? I think that's amazing because it goes so tasty.
Smoky.
And I love it's really nice. And I like skewers with like a mushroom and a pepper and stuff on. But obviously it's not very exciting halloumi. It's got to be halloumi, like barbecued halloumi and like barbecued sweet corn on the cob. And a baked potato, but like in foil. Now you've got me really excited. I'm really hungry now. I wasn't hungry when we started this chat. And now I want some burnt food that I can uncook just a little bit so it's all smoky. That's what I want.
Thank you, Alice. It's 9:30 and we're craving a jacket potato.
Yep. I could eat a jacket potato most times of the day.
I think I could eat a jacket potato for lunch every single day. I think jacket potatoes are one of the most, but I'm actually salivating. I think jacket potatoes
me too.
are one of the most
Alice.
food. Alice.
Unbelievable. Right. Well. Listen.
Sorry.
Well, let's wrap this one up. Let me because
let's
I'm
go.
worried that we're both just going to have to stop this to go and make jacket potato, and they take like hour. Again, we're talking about they take hours in the oven, and then we'd have to, or get them burnt and uncooked. Anyway, it take a long time, and I feel like, we haven't got that much time today. And we've got another question to answer. So, just want to check: do you prefer food how it is, or would you be up for it being burnt and trying it the other way?
I would be very up for owning a machine for my cooking fails, which, as a certified and highly experienced space cook, are very few and far between.
Sure,
but Alice, I would really love if you or someone or anyone could invent a machine that would mean that we could put in burnt food and cook it to the right state.
Yeah, and I think you're right, and it should be for cooking fails rather than, because if all food was burnt, one thing we didn't say as well is a lot of burning of food would have to happen first, and that's quite bad for the planet. And I think it's better if we were to mess up food and then we had machines that reverse that, so we could get it
to a little
right
bit. Yeah, so I think it's actually quite a genius idea with a tweak or two.
Yeah. Well, very good work, Alice. Really, really impressive for an 11-minute-old. And so, right. Well, the second question. This is, again, you're the right person for this, I think, with all your skills. But Alice asks, what if animals could talk?
Well, I mean, they can talk, for a start.
Whoa.
So we all know that animals can talk.
Wait, hang on. You mean because they make animal noises, or do they, can they have proper, do they speak in sort of human languages?
I mean, depends on the animal, obviously. No, but they do talk. I mean, obviously they talk to each other. I think if animals could talk, I just feel like it would be something else that we've got to tell to shut up. Because I think now...
Yeah, that's fair.
This is why I don't have children, and I should probably never have them. But now when someone's like, "Oh, roll up, he's a talking dog," I don't know who would do that, but when you see it in films or cartoons, or you've got Dr. Dolittle and he can understand. But if we could all understand animals, or if they could all talk, I just think we'd just be a bit sick of it, don't you? I think if there was like a couple, like maybe, I don't know, there's like one or two in your town or your city that can talk, you'd be like, oh, did you know that Alice has a talking dog? It'd be great. But also, we say talking dogs, but what if they were really annoying, like human beings? What if they were like some really annoying dogs as well, or some annoying cats? What if you were like, oh, who's a good boy? Then they were like, it's me, Alice, I'm a good boy, we've had this conversation before. You never ask me how I am or what I'm doing. It's always who's a good boy, not what does a good boy need. Like, what if they're just like a bit annoying?
Yeah, well, you see, cats would almost definitely just walk into a home and go, milk now, feed me, none of your nonsense, feed me, and then I'm gone, I'm out again. All right, that's the arrangement. They'd be really rude about it, I think. And I can't help but thinking that like birdsong would be awful, because at the moment, like, it's really beautiful when you hear like birdsong, and we've had the past year of lovely like tweet 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 tweet. Oh, isn't this lovely? But if you woke up and every day be like, I'm going down the pub, I watch this on TV. What did you see on Netflix? I've been sleeping for 10 hours. It'd be like it would be horrible. It'd just be noise from the trees.
Yeah, it
nice.
would just be like, oh, we've got more noisy neighbours. Or like, say if you were on safari or in the jungle somewhere, which a lot of us are. And you were like, oh wow, what a majestic roar of a lion. And then but all of a sudden it would be like, just like an old man yawn or something. Like it would just
yeah, that'd be horrible, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be horrible if it was I've burnt my food again. Like, if it was just like a grumpy old man. I think we'd lose a lot of the magic of nature. We could do that.
I definitely think so. I'm gonna show my ignorance here. I'm not very good at other languages. I've tried very hard to learn. I know a bit of German and I know a little bit of French, but I'm not very good at French. And I really like relaxing to. I like listening to like French radio because I don't know what they're saying,
nice.
And therefore to me it's not distracting.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same with I think it's the same with like animals. It makes me happier to not know what they're talking about, especially because they might be being rude about me. Like if I'm at the zoo, they might be looking through the window going, "Look at that! Oh, he looks awful. He looks like he hasn't slept in ages," or whatever. They might be being quite rude.
Can't believe he's eating
And
pizza out of a bin.
Thinking,
like
exactly. I don't want them judging me as well. So I think actually it's quite nice that I just think they're making monkey noises or they're, or growling or whatever. It's less stressful.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a positive because there must be an upside to this. Oh, do you know what the upside is? We could have more animals on TV.
Yes.
As characters.
Hosting shows.
Yeah, chat shows, interviews, the news.
Oh.
A giraffe telling the news.
I was just going to ask you what animal would be perfect. Absolutely a giraffe. Not least because they'd have to keep scrolling down. When they tap the papers at the beginning of a news thing, they'd have to scroll down for the tap the papers and then scroll all the way up the neck for the news.
Yes, and also, where would they tie their tie?
Oh no!
Like, is it going just under their chin or like right at the bottom of their neck?
That's so tricky because ties, I suppose, need to go on a shirt. So you'd either need a shirt with a very big neck on it.
But we don't know. It's a new world, Tiernan. Like we don't. We might not need shirts, but we still need ties because it's the news.
Okay, hang on. On the same theme, for animals like giraffes, for four-legged animals, trousers, they go on the back two legs, all four legs, or how does that? Because I've always wondered, like, would they wear trousers on all of their legs, or would they just wear it on the back two legs, but then need a jumper on the front two legs?
I think it's going to be back two legs for trousers, jumper for the front two. I think we might need to have some sort of custom shop for animals. Let's be honest. We can't make them wear human clothes. They might want to wear a dress or a smock, or just a fringe shawl. Like, you don't know. They might want to. Don't put animals in your human clothes. Okay, don't restrict them.
That's
fair. We've just given them the power of speech.
Yeah, that's fair. And also, you say that we're assuming they talk like people. They might be far more interesting. Than us,
that's
with all their chat.
Yeah,
they might have amazing things to tell us about, that we don't. Or they might be really boring. They might be just really. That's my other worry would be just that they're. Like ants would probably be march, pick up a leaf, march. They'd be like, oh, shut up.
And that's what we just have to hear the whole time. Like, as you're just going about, oh no, do you know what? I don't, like how we've been all going on our silly little walks all year. Imagine then having to make small talk with a human and then with their dog.
Oh no.
That's double the boring conversation.
Yeah, I think I think. Do you know what? More than anything, that argument shows why animals mustn't talk. I don't want that. I don't want to have to chat to more things with terrible conversations.
Yeah, can you? Oh, what have you been up to? Oh, fine. Oh, what about you, Ian? Oh, well, yeah, nothing. Dug up a bone. Like, I don't. I mean, I love dogs. I don't know why I'm making them so boring, but they might be really happy. They might just. Oh, but how we say, oh, he's really happy to see me. He's wagging his tail. Or, how we say that about dogs. Well, maybe they're not. Maybe they're not. Maybe they are miserable, So they might, Anyway, I don't want to make small talk with an animal. Sorry.
No, I think on that last point, it might be good if we had a few animals that could talk, maybe they could translate for other, like that might be quite useful. Just for animal-human relations. So if you had, like, say, one dolphin that could talk or one cat that could talk, and then they would be the cat that you'd go to and say, you take your cat, and they'd be like, meow, meow, meow. And they'd be, what does it mean? And the one cat that could talk would be like, oh, they hate you, and they just want to eat everything.
I really hope that the animal translator is going to get paid for their time, because you're asking them to do a lot of work to speak for their whole species.
Oh, yeah, that's true, actually, yeah. That's true.
So how are we paying them? Like, in fish? Like, how are we... Do you know what
it depends on the animal, does it? Because if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. So I'd have thought I thought monkeys would have to get peanuts, but I think it would depend on the creature, and they might just want cash. They might want straight cash to buy their extra long necked ties. So it's...
Oh no, because now I'm thinking of the houses and the housing market, Tiernan. I will be absolutely devastated if we've got, I don't know, giraffes buying real estate and buying a house before I can. I'll be so annoyed
Oh.
if they're like,
And they'd need extra roof space as well. They'd need really
exactly.
high ceilings.
Yeah, they
and-
need a
yeah.
skylight to stick their neck out of at night. You know, I'd be really annoyed then if animals are getting more opportunities, more chances to buy a house than I am. So I think let's do what humans have done up until now. Keep animals in their place.
Whoa. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, yeah, I feel like we're not nice enough to animals, but also I think there are limits, and we shouldn't be so nice that they end up living in homes and then we have to hear rain from outside. I don't want that. I don't want that to happen at all.
I know, but also it'd be really
Yeah.
hard to choose an animal then, because if you could like go and pick a pet at the pet shop, for example, and then you'd have to be like, well, you know, is Jerry the hamster the right fit for our family? Like, do we want a chatty hamster, or do we want maybe someone who can tutor the kids?
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, when it comes to exams and things, do we, you know, does this hamster know verbal reasoning, or like, do we want, you know, just a really chilled out kind of jokey kind of hamster to fit in with our family?
It would be hard. I mean, and also you're, you know, just going in a pet shop in the first place, they just be like, me, let me out, let me out, let me out, not me, not me. You know, like it'd be so. I just wouldn't go in. It'd be you'd have to go in with like earmuffs on or something to.
So
Oh,
the
wow,
one thing I'm going to say is either all animals talk or no animals talk, because I think that is fair.
Yeah, good. I can agree with you on that. I
Yeah.
think that's very true. Yeah, it's a really complicated question. I hadn't realised quite how complicated until we started talking about it. Actually, I think I just thought, yeah, it might be fun if every now and then a dog says hello, but actually, it's not. It's not. It's terrible.
Yeah, sorry. I think I've
Wow.
been very serious about this, and I now know that when I go for my afternoon nap, I am gonna have nightmares of having to make small talk with a dog called Ian. So
While unburning food, yeah, it's going to be. It's a busy day for your sleep brain. Well, but that's why I came to you with these questions, Sukh. I knew that you were the person who could answer these questions properly and with the depth and intellect that they needed to be able. Because Alice is 0.11 years old. She's not going to be satisfied if we just went, yeah, it'd be great, it'd be fun if parrots said bum or whatever. It doesn't, which they can do. That parrots can talk. That was a bad example. Yeah, all right, I should change it. But you know what I mean. She needed something. She needed a better answer that was well thought through, like you have given. So thank you for your time. And have you got a nice rest of the day planned? Are you wandering the beach as a ghost woman, or anything
yeah,
else
as always,
planned?
I'm going to go for my ghostly walk, and then I'm going to meet a friend, and I am going to eat inside a cafe for the first time in a very long time.
That's so exciting.
I'm so excited.
Well, enjoy that.
Thank you.
Enjoy that. Yeah, very jealous. Cool. Well, thank you again for joining us on the show with your superb expertise in between your cow interrupting, your space cooking, and everything else that you have to, your napping and your ghost womaning, all these things you have to do. I really appreciate you having the time to chat to us and answer Alice's questions. So thank you tons.
Oh, thank you, Alice, and thank you, Tiernan.
For any one of the sound engineers could easily explain it all in 10 weeks.
Thank you so much to Sukh for those very in-depth and detailed answers to Alice's very, very clever questions. I mean, really clever, especially considering she's only 11 minutes old. Of course, it doesn't matter how old you are, unless you're 101, obviously, we've been through that. But you can still send in any questions you like to the show, as long as you get your irked mashed potato towers, grown-ups, to help you email us at podcast@comedyclub4kids.co.uk. If you can, please give us a nice review too on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or Acast. There's loads of places where you can review it. Maybe just on a wall somewhere, or give a note with the review in it to someone you know and say, this is for you, before then running away. And if your grown-ups fancy buying us a tea as thanks for making you laugh until you do snort noises, then they can do that at ko-fi.com/comedy club for kids or via the Acast supporter button. Oh, and obviously, most importantly, come and see us live and in real life too, but please don't bring me a stinky hippo or hand me a small note that says "but 5 stars" on it and then run away. And you can see all the places that we're doing real shows at comedyclub4kids.co.uk. So, we'll be back in a few short weeks. Don't worry, don't stress, we'll be back soon, and you can always listen to old episodes in the meantime. Listen to them again and again and again and again and again and again and again. And then we'll be back in just a few short weeks, maybe a couple of long ones as well. Depends on which weeks they are. And as soon as I've got a whole well full of fresh comedians and a whole well full of stinky hippos, because that's where I'm going to put them, because it shouldn't smell so much in a well. I really hope I don't muddle up the wells and I end up with stinky comedians and fresh hippos, but I suppose at least Comedy Club for Kids HQ would smell a lot nicer. See you soon. Bye. You have been listening to Comedy Club for Kids Presents. Radio nonsense, radio nonsense, radio nonsense, radio nonsense, radio nonsense. It's the end.